YouTube. I can't believe I'm saying that word. YouTube. I didn't think I'd ever create a YouTube channel. As a content creator, I love Instagram. Long form, not what I thought I'd get into. Still feeling kind of weird about it. Probably gonna look back at this video in 6 months and cringe because I'm not a video editor and I have no idea what I'm doing. But here we go. It's 2024. I want to give you guys a shop tour. I can't do it the way I would like to do it if I did it on Instagram. So we're going to try this. I hope it goes well. Might not. So I am in a garage shop right now. I only moved into this shop in October of last year. It's currently January of 2024. So I haven't been in here very long. Before that, I was in an apartment. I was in an 800 square foot apartment that I built a shop into. I had no space. None. I commandeered part of my own living room. Initially, it was a shop space on a 4x8 sheet of plywood. That's really tiny. 6 months-ish later, I put down another sheet of plywood on the floor next to it, and I had an 8x8 square foot shop that at the time made me feel like a king. I thought I was living it up. But it turns out you can't make a whole lot more than cutting boards and boxes in a shop that small. So to be in a garage right now, for my partner to let me take over her garage and make this shop, I am eternally grateful. The things that I'm able to do now that I've had the skills to do and not the space and the real estate to do, I'm finally going to be able to showcase, and I'm really excited about that. And, I am forever grateful for that, and I hope that you guys will stick around for the journey. So, Shop Tour 2024, almost a tongue twister. Let's get at it. Heart of the shop is the table saw. This is a Delta table saw I got at Lowe's a few years back. I'm not crazy about this table saw. I'll be honest, it's not great. But I can't afford a cabinet saw, so it's what we work with. And just a simple outfeed table, pine and plywood. It works because I don't need to make anything fancy for the tables in this shop. If you notice, over here, all the tables at my milling station, my dowel rod threw a couple pieces of mahogany to hold paper towels and tape, right? My main workbench, everything's just pine and plywood because it's easier, honestly. And because while I love to make nice things, it didn't make sense to me to make these spaces crazy nice when I know they're gonna get beat up and damaged. They work and they're inexpensive, so I can replace parts as I need to, and they're gonna do the job. So, outfeed table and table saw. The nice thing about this setup is my blade to my wood rack is 9 feet. I've got 9 feet of clearance all the way to the table saw blade. I don't have 9 feet of clearance from the table saw blade to the garage door. Good news is, when I'm ripping 9-foot boards, which I just did on my Instagram, you can check that out at the link up there, I just raise that garage door up and out they go. So it's a convenient setup where most of the time I don't need to open that garage door, but I can if I need to. And so it works. It works, and I'm happy with that because that's at the heart of the shop. And as you can see, if I get to the very limits of the shop here, we've got a lumber wall, a tool wall, table saw, milling station, right? And everything about this shop in a small garage shop is about saving space. Underneath my lumber wall, all of this is just storage. Almost all of it is scrap lumber in all these boxes. That one's some unfinished projects. These are various jigs, metal cauls, stuff like that, more shop towels, but that's all storage. Under here, cypress cookie. If anyone wants me to finally make a coffee table out of that after like 3 years of having that, please tell me. Please commission me to make that into a table so I can give it a nice home. But behind all that, these are all walnut scraps. I've got a little lathe sitting down there, a mechanic's wrench set. Down here, we've got the fridge. I do art markets, so I've got folding tables, compressor, more storage with mostly caulk and fasteners and things. But everything about this space to make it work had to be about space and space saving, which is sometimes tricky to do, but considering that I had all of this in an apartment, in an 800 square foot apartment beforehand, and now I can put it in a shop, that's really nice. So, under the outfeed table, mostly miscellaneous home goods, recycling bin, all that good stuff. But first I have a miter saw. I don't use a miter saw. I didn't use a miter saw in my old shop. I don't use a miter saw here. I have a radial arm saw over there. We'll get to that bad boy. But I have a miter saw, and this cabinet, this is mostly a finishing cabinet. So I keep all my Rubio down here, all my things for finishing. And then I also have various fabrics that I want to keep dust free for if I'm lining drawers or boxes, things like that. So that's nice and safe, dust free, out of the way. That hangs out down there. Over here, we've got a straight line ripping jig. If you have questions about what that is, let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. And then some ladders, some scrap plywood. The ladders are very useful because on the upper bits of the shop, we have plywood storage up there and plywood storage up there. So that's pretty high up. Need the ladder quite frequently. Even if I need lumber from the top racks, need the ladder to get up there. So everything's tucked away as much as I can get it. And then we have the milling station. The milling station is convenient for me in this setup. I'm sure a lot of people do it differently with the way they lay out their milling stations. If I had a floor-based jointer, I would definitely do this differently, but I don't. No one's suddenly given me a Powermatic out of the kindness of their heart, and I don't think they're gonna. And that's what I expect. So we do the best we can with what we got, which is why we've got the jointer at the perfect level of this table, which is the same for the DeWalt planer. So I can just throw boards across the jointer, across the table, and straight out the planer. It's convenient for me, and it keeps everything out of the way. So I love that. I really love that. On the wall, we've got Arnold Palmer in the church pews at Oakmont because I had a former life as a golf obsessive. That's a story for another time. Nail guns on the wall. You always need your nail guns. And then clamps, PPE, framing squares, and my favorite part of the shop. Before we get into that, I love wood. Yeah, I know how it sounds. I love really strange and exotic woods, woods that I have never seen before, woods that are maybe endangered now, woods that aren't really harvested anymore, because I don't know, I'm just so unbelievably fascinated by that. I grew up in the northeast part of the United States where trees were blonde, tan, and boring. We had pine and beech and poplar, and it wasn't exciting. I didn't know until I became a woodworker that that existed. Nobody told me that. So, the idea that you could have a tree, you could cut open a tree, and it'd be pink. The tree is pink. Nobody told me a tree could be pink. Or any of these things. A tree could be black. You could cut it and it could smell like roses. Just all of these things are absolutely mind-blowing to me. And I'm amazed at what nature has done with trees. I'm amazed at the types of lumber you can have. You know, over here we have a snakewood log, right? It looks like a snake skin. Why? Why did a tree go, you know what, I should look like a snake? I don't know. But it's cool. So I have a bit of an obsession with that stuff. I know I do. I'm gonna use them someday, I promise. Beyond the fancy wood section and the milling station, we have the wood wall itself. First on the wood wall, Calavera apron. Calavera Leatherworks, amazing. If you need an apron and you're willing to invest in a good apron that's gonna last you a lifetime, buy that apron. So this is all sorted by length as well as I could get it. And we've got everything up here. We've got burl lumber up top. We've got lumber over there for making 3D cube projects. And fortunately, everything is labeled so that I don't forget what everything is. But we've got so much sapele down here. It's all pommel sapele for a table I want to make. But then we've got bubinga, padauk, African mahogany. We've got coco bolo, wenge, sapele, bird's eye maple, a lot of bird's eye maple, tiger wood, white oak, cherry. I mean, everything I'm gonna need, I have there. And part of that is the same wood disease as this, saying, I need it. And part of it is I see a really nice piece of wood and I get a little obsessed with it and I'm like, I'm gonna make something from that someday. I hope I make something from it someday. So we have the wood wall. We have our very lovely leather apron. Check out Calavera. And then we have the tool wall. The tool wall is my favorite part of the shop after the wood wall because it's where I actually get work done. And the more that I've been a woodworker, the more I like using hand tools, the more I'm trying to expand my hand tool collection, and the more it brings enjoyment to the way I do this. At the end of the day, as a woodworker, once I've completed a project, it's done. I'm done with it. The only thing that I get to enjoy is the process. So I want to do as much as I can to enjoy the process, and hand tools for me is the way that I get to enjoy that. So we've got various planes, Japanese saws, new concepts, fret saw, a whole line of Narex Richter chisels, a coping saw that belonged to my grandfather that is a craftsman, which goes to show that there was a time when craftsmen made things right. Same with the Radial Arm Saw. Anyway, I love the chisels, particularly this. This is actually a blue spruce chisel. It is a blue spruce mortise chisel with a resin-infused maple handle. I love this chisel. It's probably my favorite chisel. It came out of the box, sharpened, honed, ready to cut. It did cut, and it is a beast. These chisels are admittedly expensive, but if you need a very, very good mortise chisel, could not recommend blue spruce enough. So, card, scraper, burnisher, all that good stuff for doing hand tool work. And then we have the sandpaper storage. I needed just a way to keep this organized, and this was the quickest and best way I could come up with. So we've got everything from 80, 120, 150, 180, 220. But then we've got these Mirka Abralon pads. I love these pads because it's a great way to attach a sanding pad to your sander and still get really high grit sanding. So they've got 360, 500, 1000, 2000 grit, and they're super simple. They're not super cheap, but they are wonderful, and they do a fantastic job anytime you're trying to get a really high shine on something, which I love. So next is the Radial Arm Saw. This saw has a big backstory. This saw belonged to my grandfather, who passed away before I ever became a woodworker. He never got to see me do this. He never got to see me do any of this. I don't want to say a lot, but I have regrets about that. I didn't know when he was still alive that I had any interest in woodworking. It was not a passion I discovered. I didn't know. And so I never got to share this with him. And to be able to work on his saw and enjoy it, and give it a life still, you know, that's almost priceless to me. And it's one of those things where, again, it helps me enjoy the process. And if I can enjoy the process, that's what matters. So this radial arm saw is a beast. It comes out something like 20, 25 inches, and the blade is incredible because you can have it your standard vertical. But if you want, you can rotate it 90 degrees and rip stuff as if this was a table saw. Or you can take it and you can rotate it horizontally for chopping tendons and everything else. That's terrifying. I don't do that, but I can. Or I can come around here to this little thread. I can put a drill chuckle in there and turn this into a drill press. This saw is so cool. I don't know why they don't make radial arm saws anymore. I love this saw. So that is the radial arm saw. This thing is a Craftsman. The user's manual was last updated in 1969, which tells you how old it is, but it's amazing. And then we've got the dust shroud, which is a convenient place to store drills, drivers, all that good stuff. This is a shelf my grandfather made, and these are a couple of the bucks that he shot. In fact, this one is from 1975, so that tells you how long ago that was. But every time I come over here and use the radial arm saw, that is there, and it's just a way for me to remember and appreciate my grandfather. And again, you know, it's those little things that, for me, make my time in this shop better. So I like that. Over here, we have a Delta bandsaw that was also my grandfather's, and probably twice as old as I am, and my grandfather's radio that he had in his shop with simulated wood cabinet, the 70s. So this thing used to get AM and FM. Now it only broadcasts in AM. I don't know why. I don't necessarily care, to be honest. There's something about it being his that I'll flip it on AM, and I don't know what they're saying, but I like it. Similarly, this bandsaw doesn't get a lot of frequencies anymore. The blade's not even on the wheels anymore. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't like me. It needs a new blade. That's a different video. Then we have the tool chest, the incrementor gauge. This is just a simple storage spot for it. Router bits, because again, I don't know where else to put them. So that's convenient. The tool chest here has mostly miscellaneous stuff. Crap chisels. This is my sharpening station. So diamond stones, whetstone, stropping compound, file for card scrapers. This is the one drawer I actually use. Whenever I'm making cabinets, Craig everything. Down here, Brusso hinges when I'm making hinged boxes. If you're making boxes, Brusso are some of the best hinges you can get. Various magnets, fasteners, all that good stuff. Here we have user's manuals and receipts. I have all my receipts because you never know when you're going to need them. And guys, support your local lumber yard. Riverside Lumber has been good to me from day one, and you can tell that that's where that came from. Again, I have a problem. I know it. And then down here, we have our fluids. Glue, acetone, mineral spirits, CA glue, all that good stuff. So that's just about everything. One thing I didn't cover is the shop vac. That mostly hooks up to the table saw, but it's convenient that the cord is 1,000,000 miles long because I can wheel it over to the jointer or the planer and just connect it wherever I need. If you noticed, there is no big dust collection in this shop. I don't have space for it. I don't have the money for it. And that's okay. The shop vac works well enough. And when it doesn't, we've got our respirator. So we're pretty good. One last thing that lives under here is the Bosch router table. I love this router table. I almost never use it. I don't need a router table very often, so it can hang out down here. It's a great router table. If you can afford a router table instead of needing to make your own, I highly recommend this. It's really great. The one thing I don't like is that my Bosch router stopped turning on last week. That's a bummer. So Bosch, if you're listening and want to help a guy out, you know. Anyway, that's my shop. This is all of it. I get some sunlight in the mornings, my milling station, my fancy woods, my happy leather apron, and my happy tool wall. So thank you guys for sticking around. I know this has been a long video. I know it's been a very long first video, but I hope this gives you a bit of a sense of my shop, what I do in here, and if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm going to be trying to post content as often as I can because I think this long form platform is a way that I can engage in things that I can't do on Instagram, which is my only social right now. So if you're interested in that, please do all those things, share this, and thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay safe in the shop.